Faith. Faith. F-A-I-T-H. Faith. Even faith. That's faith. F-A-I-T-H. E-V-E-N. Even faith. No, not Faith Evans, but Faith. F-A-I-T-H. E-V-E-N without the S. Receiving the end of your faith, even the salvation of your souls. According to 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 9 of the King James Version of the Bible, faith, F-A-I-T-H, E-V-E-N, just as you would put that in the Strong's Concordance in a search box. Again, from left to right, F-A-I-T-H, space, E-V-E-N. And if you put the S, is Evans. However, you will not find that in the King James Version of the Bible. Try it and see. Nothing. Now remove the S and separate the S from the N. Separate the E-V-E-N-S and separate the S from the N. And that should take you to even 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 9, receiving the end of your faith, even the salvation of your souls, as well as Revelation chapter 2 and verse 13, faith, even faith. I know thy works, and where thou dwellest here in the United States of North America, Yehuda, even where Satan's seat is, and thou holdest fast my name, Mem-Yod, and hast not denied my faith, even in those days wherein Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was slain among you, where Satan dwelleth today. And who is this martyros? Who is martyros in Revelation chapter 2 and verse 13? Who is martyros in Greek? Who is martyros in Revelation chapter 2 and verse 13 in Greek? Spelled in English from left to right, M-A-R-T-Y-R, martyr. That is a faithful witness, a witness, even a faithful witness, faithful witness, one who is a spectator of anything. For example, of a contest between Satan and the Christ. Those who, after his example, have proved that the strength and genuineness of their faith is Christ by undergoing a violent death. His genuineness, your genuineness and your faith, by faith. Again, according to Revelation chapter 2 and verse 13, and there was given me a reed like unto a rod to read. And I stand, and the angel stood, saying, Rise, rise, and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But where's the faith of Revelation chapter 11 and verse 1. Where is your faith, Yehuda? Where is your faith, Judah? Can you speak? Can you say where your faith is? For behold, the Lord hath a mighty and strong one, which as a tempest of hell and a destroying storm, as a flood of mighty waters overflowing, shall cast down to the earth with the hand. The crown of pride, the drunkards of Ephraim, shall be trodden under feet, and the glorious beauty which is on the head of the fat valley shall be a fading flower, and as the hasty fruit before the summer, which when he that looketh upon it seeth, while it is yet in his hand, he eateth it up. And that day shall the Lord of hosts, Yod, be for a crown of glory, and for a diadem of beauty unto the residue of his people, and for a spirit of judgment to him that sitteth in judgment, and for strength to them that turn the battle to the gate, the north gate. But they also have erred through wine, and through strong drink are out of the way. The priest and the prophet have erred through strong drink. They are swallowed up of wine.
Have you ever been
They are out of the way through strong drink. They err in vision. They stumble in judgment. For his tables are full of vomit and filthiness, so that there is no place clean. Whom shall he teach knowledge today? Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breasts. That means he will speak to a people of a different tongue. A Judah, a tribe of people, slaves that were taken by England to become the English slaves, speaking English Creole, for precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. For with stammering lips and another tongue other than Hebrew will he speak to this people, even as he speak to this people, his people, this people in this land, with the strange, another tongue, a strange tongue. He would be stammering as he speaks. As he even reads from the King James Version Holy Bible, he will stammer. He would be stammering. To whom he said, This is the rest wherewith ye may cause the weary to rest, and this is the refreshing. Yet they would not hear. But the word of the Lord, Yod, was upon them, precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little, that they might go and fall backward and be broken and snared, like the snare of a snare drum, and taken. According to the book called Isaiah, in chapter 28, in verses 2 to 13 of the King James Version Holy Bible. But where is your faith? By faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and went out. He went out, not knowing whither he went. By faith, he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. For he looked for a city which hath foundations, whose builder and maker is God, even the architect, God. That's the Son, God. And all that was done by faith, Faith, in Hebrew, as I now take you in Hebrew from English. That's faith of the Hebrews. This means that the English has no faith. The English has no faith. How is that possible? Well, follow along with me in this revelation, another revelation of the Christ, as follows. Welcome to another revelation of the Christ, the God of Israel, the God of this world, the God of the earth, that my Father gave to me, the Christ, my Father, known as the God of the universe, the God of the Hebrews, Yod, the revelations, and this is the revelation, another revelation that he gave to me, to shew unto my servants things which must shortly come to pass in these last days. And he sent in 1975
branches in the United States and Israel have
his servant,
the leader of Miami's
also
Yahweh
known
Temple
unto
is
us
Moses Israel.
as his angel,
His followers
unto
have
his
recently come
servant,
under
his angel,
in the murders of
his
two
angel,
defectors
his
from the
servant,
group.
biblically and spiritually known as Yohanan, in Hebrew, John, in English, who carried the appellation in English for 15 years, known as, in English, I quote, Yahweh, Ben Yahweh, end quote. That was translated from the original Hebrew, from right to left, Yod He Wav He, Beth Nun Sophie, Yod He Wav He, end quote. Needless to say, that is not a name, but merely an appellation that's made up from the Tetragrammaton, made up of 3 Hebrew characters, one position twice, that's doubled, and that would be Yod He Wav He. He is positioned twice, with Beth Nun Sophie in the middle, and repeats itself as Yod He Wav He. And that means the door, the way, the truth, and the life in the past, as the Son is bringing it today again, the door, the way, the truth, and the life in these last days. That is the mystery and the revelation of that, the Tetragrammaton, which means the Father and the Son. The Father, in English, that begins with the English letter known as F, and the Son, that's known to begin with the English letter known as S. That's F and S. So again, I welcome you to another revelation of the Christ as follows. And it shall come to pass in that day which is now, that Tari, the rock, shall be forgotten 70 years, according to the days of one king. After the end of 70 years shall Tari sing as an harlot. And I am Tari, the rock, who am now singing. I am now singing, according to the King James Version Bible, a book called Isaiah in chapter 23 and verse 15. And it shall come to pass, after the end of 70 years that began in 1954 and will end in 2025, as the 70th year began on September 27th, 2024, that will end 1 year later on September 27th, 2025. And at the end of the 70 years will be when the Lord will visit Tari the rock, and she shall turn to her higher, and shall commit fornication with all the kingdoms of the world upon the face of the earth, according to verse 17 of Isaiah chapter 23 of the King James Version Holy Bible. And now with that said, give ear, O ye heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth, according to Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 1, beginning at verse 1 of the King James Version Holy Bible, the book called Deuteronomy, the fifth book of the Pentateuch, the fifth book of Moshe of the Septuagint. Give ear, O ye heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. My doctrine shall drop as the rain, my speech shall distill as the dew. What is due? It is due now. All of my words I'm speaking are due now. They are due now. It's in this world, at the end of the world, the last days, as the dew. As the rain is now falling in Miami, Florida, as I speak. Even as a small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass that's being wet right now in Miami, Florida. On this ninth day, the ninth day of the 7th month of our calendar, of this calendar that we are looking at on the wall by Pope Gregory the 13th, the Gregorian calendar, Sunday, September the 21st of that calendar, September 21st, however, the ninth day of our calendar, the solar calendar of the 7th month. That is where we are now. And that evening will be the 10th day of the 7th month, and known as a day of atonement, a day of atonement. And doing so, the rain is falling. The rain is now falling upon the tender herb of my people that is due today. And because of that, I will publish the name of the Lord, Ma'ab Yod. Ascribe ye greatness unto our God. Yod. You see, he is the rock. Tari, that is now on his way to this planet, that all the astronomers and astrologers, the scientists of this planet are now studying. The rock on his way, Tari. He is the rock, and I am the smaller rock. Why? His work is perfect, for all his ways are judgment. A God of truth and without iniquity, just and right is he, according to Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 4. Verse 5, they have corrupted themselves. They have corrupted themselves. Their spot is not the spot of his children. They are a perverse and crooked generation. Do ye thus requite the Lord, Yod, O foolish people and unwise? Is not he thy father that hath brought thee and brought thee forward, brought thee from the slave master and brought thee forward to be here today? He bought and brought. Again, I repeat the question, is he not your father? Is not he thy father that hath brought thee from the slave master and brought thee here today to be with me? Hath he not made thee and established thee? Remember the days of old, and consider the years of many generations. Ask my father, and he will shew thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. He found him in a desert land, and in the waste howling wilderness. He led him about. He instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye, as an eagle stirreth up her nest, fluttereth over her young, spreadeth abroad her wings, taketh them, beareth them on her wings. So the Lord, mine Ab, alone did lead him, me, and there was no strange God with me. He made him ride on the high places of the earth, of this planet, that he might eat the increase of the fields. And he made him to suck honey out of the rock. I said that he made him to suck honey out of the rock, in Deuteronomy chapter 32 and 13, and oil out of the flinty rock, butter of kine, and milk of sheep, with fat of lambs and rams of the bread and the breed of Bashan, and goats with the fat of kidneys of wheat. And thou didst drink the pure blood of grapes of the grape. But Yeshurun, in verse 15, waxed fat and kicked. Thou art waxen fat. Thou art grown thick. Thou art covered with fatness. Then he forsook God, which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. They provoked him to jealousy. How? With strange gods. With abominations provoked they him to anger. They sacrificed unto devils, not to God, but unto devils, to gods whom they knew not. To new gods they came among them. All the gods that came newly up, whom your fathers feared not. Of the rock that begat thee, thou art unmindful. The rock that is on its way, that begat thee. You have no knowledge of that rock, and has forgotten God that formed thee. When he, the Lord, Ma'ab, saw it, he abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end of this world shall be when this world ends. For they are a very froward generation, children in whom is no faith, according to Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 20 of the King James Version Holy Bible. They have even moved me to jealousy with that which is not good at all, especially to God. They have provoked me to anger and my with their vanities. And I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. For a fire is kindled in mine anger, and shall burn unto the lowest hell, and shall consume the earth with her increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. I will heap mischiefs upon them. I will spin mine arrows upon them. They shall be burnt with hunger, and devoured with burning heat, and with bitter destruction. I will also send the teeth of beasts upon them, with the poison of serpents of the dust. The sword without, and terror within, shall destroy both the young man and the virgin, the suckling also with the man of gray hairs. I said, I would scatter them into corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. Fear it not that I feared the wrath of the enemy. Were it not that I feared the wrath of the enemy, lest their adversaries should behave themselves strangely, and lest they should say, our hand is high, and the Lord hath not done all this? For they are a nation void of counsel, neither is there any understanding in them. In Deuteronomy 32:28. Oh, that they were wise, that they understood this, that they would consider their latter end. How should one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight, except their rock had sold them, and the Lord Yod has shut them up? For their rock is not as our rock. Our rock is on its way. It's known as the three-eye Atlas. Even the city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of God from heaven. Even our enemies themselves being judges. For their vine is of the vine of Sodom and of the fields of Gomorrah. Their grapes are grapes of gall. Their clusters are bitter. Their wine is the poison of dragons and the cruel venom of asps. Is not this laid up in store with me and sealed up among my treasures? To me belongeth vengeance and recompense. Their foot shall slide in due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things that shall come upon them make haste. For the Lord Yod shall judge his people, and the repent shall be of himself for his servants, especially when he seeth that their power is gone, and there is none shut up or left. And they shall say, where are their gods? Where are their gods? Their rock in whom they trusted, which did eat the fat of their sacrifices and drank the wine of their drink offerings. Let them rise up and help you and be your protection. And this protection is the only place in the Bible in Deuteronomy, King James Version, Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 38, where you'll find this word protection. Protection from left to right, spelled P-R-O-T-E-C-T-I-O-N. Protection. And what is that protection? What does that mean? It comes from the original Hebrew word known as Satar, spelled from right to left in Hebrew, Samek Tav Resh. Samek Tav Resh. And it means a covering, a shelter, a hiding place in secrecy. I am now revealing secrets in a secret place, privately. I'm backbiting. It's a secrecy of tongue being slanderous toward the devils, toward the wicked people in secret. That is sitar. And you can confirm that in your strong concordance under H 5643. 5643. They came from its etymology known as sitar. Sitar, with the same spelling from right to left. Samek Tav Resh. And it means to hide and conceal, to hide oneself, to be hidden as I have hidden myself all of these years, for 70 years, to be concealed and to hide oneself carefully, according to Strong's H 5641. It is the only place in the Bible where this word protection is found. Protection. In Espanol, protección. Protección.
protección.
And in Deuteronomy chapter 32, in verse 39, see now that I, even I, am he, and there is no God with me. Micah, Memyod. I am the one who killed, and I make alive. I wound, and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. For I lift up my hand to heaven, to my arm, and say, I live forever. That's Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 40. And going back to verse 39, you see I, even I. That's the Father, the F, and that is the Son, the other I, the S. I, the Father of F, even I, the Son of S. That's F, S. That is the F and the S that empowers eighth. Eighth, that's English from left to right. A-I-T-H. Eighth. That means I am the hero. Am I the hero? No, I am the hero. The hero. That's eighth. A-I-T-H. That follows the F, the Father, and the Son, the S. And that takes us to the protection of Deuteronomy chapter 32 that was hidden in verse 38, protection, concealed. Concealed what? It concealed the Father in verse 20 of Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 20, as I repeat again, I quote, and he said, I will hide my face from them. And he is. My Father is hiding his face from you today, you foolish, disobedient, evil, wicked people. And you, Judah, hard-headed, stiff-hearted. I will see what their end shall be as I continue. In verse 20. For they are a very froward generation, children whom is no faith. And there's your no faith. That's the King James Version Holy Bible. In the BES Bible, the Brenton's English Septuagint, in Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 20, it reads, as I quote, and said, I will turn away my face from them and will show what shall happen to them in the last days. For it is a perverse generation, sons in whom is no faith. And that's quote unquote Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 20. Again, of the Brenton's, B-R-E-N-T-O-N apostrophe S, English Septuagint Bible. And the same verse is what was your protection. And that's what was hidden, concealed, a secrecy of Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 20. But the Father hid himself as your hero. That's the first hero of the eighth, A-I-T-H. Do you not see it? The F-A-I-T-H. Do you not see when you place the F for Father in front of the A-I-T-H? You're left with faith. Faith. F-A-I-T-H in English. That was taken from the original Hebrew word known as Ammon. Ammon, spelled from right to left in Hebrew, Aleph, Mem, Wav, Nun, Sophie. Ammon, with the M-O-O-N sound. Ammon, and that's your moon. Ammon, and it means faithfulness and trusting. Truth of faithfulness and trusting, according to Strong's H 529. That was taken from its etymology, which is Aman. Aman. It's also spelled in Hebrew from right to left. Aleph, Mem, Nun, Sophie. Aman. And it means to support and be faithful to confirm. It means to be carried by a nurse to be established. See, as in a foster mother, the pillars, I've said I will make you a pillar of my city, of my throne, of my new kingdom. According to Revelation chapter 3, verse 12, a pillar of my God with me, which are supporters of the door of Hay, the door. That's the first Hay from the left of Yod-Hid-Wav-He, the door. To stand firm with me, to trust, and to believe. This comes from Aman. Aman, the historical course of H539. Aman. That's faithfulness. This is where the first eighth was found as your hero, Ma'ab, with the F. The F in front of the AITH that you only knew as faith. You thought that was faith. So who's your second hero? The Son. The Son with the S in front of the AITH. Do you not know that when you place the S in front of the AITH, you are faced with the mouth of God? You are faced with the SAITH. Says in English, saith. Saith. As in, thus saith the Lord. I repeat, as in, thus saith the Lord. All throughout the Bible, you'll find thus saith the Lord. And that's also like in the book called Genesis in the beginning. Even the very first place in chapter 22 and verse 16, as I quote, and said, by myself have I sworn, saith the Lord, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, end quote. Even in Exodus chapter 7 verse 17, that says, I quote, thus saith the Lord, in this thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Behold, I will smite with the rod that is in mine hand upon the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood, end quote. That's today. The Exodus is now happening again, the last days for Judah and for the angels of heaven. And this saith of Exodus chapter 7 verse 17 is the mouth, the Son with eighth of the faith, that you have none, Judah. Israel, you have no faith. This faith is your hero, and the saith is your other hero. If you hear the words, this saith comes from the Hebrew word known as amar. Amar, again spelled in Hebrew from right to left. Aleph, Mem, Resh. Amar. And it means to speak, to say, to utter, to say it, to answer, to be told, and to be said, to be called. That's what that means, saith. So I saith to you, do you have any faith? I don't ask. I saith to you that you have no faith. In Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 39, you have I, even I, that's I the Father, with the AITH, your faith. Even I, the Son, with your AITH, saith. The Father faith, the Son saith. The Father is God, the Son is his mouth, the mouth of the Lord. Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Of Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 4, I repeat, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith, with the same meaning. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 4, faith. And that is the only two Bibles, the only two books in the Bible where faith is found in the Old Testament. Faith. In the B Bible, the Brenton's Bible, the Brenton's Septuagint Bible, and the King James Version Bible. That's the only two Bibles where faith is found in the Old Testament. In fact, it's the only two places in the King James Version where faith is found. Did you ever study that? You were told to study. Why did you not study that, Judah? When you do your study and research, you'll discover that what I speak to you is the truth. That is the only two places, again I repeat, the King James Version Bible and the Brenton's English Septuagint, where faith is found in the Old Testament. For thereby, faith is the Father. Remember, faith is the Father. Faith is also the Son, the mouth of the Father, saith. But that's also which you have not seen and which you hope for. See, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. You didn't see the faith without the saith. You didn't see the faith without the AITH. You didn't see the Father in front of the AITH of faith. And you did not see the Son in front of the AITH as the saith. You did not see now that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. You didn't see that. The evidence was there all the time. For by it the elders obtained a good report. Even through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, the saith, the word made flesh, so that things which are seen are not made of things which do appear. Like right now, how this testimony is about to disappear right before your eyes by faith.